Welcome to the Financial G-Spot. I'm Robin Crane and have a special guest here today, Ischara, who has some questions. I don't even know what your questions are, but this is the Financial G-Spot, all about finding the specific area that you need to focus on so you can feel great about money, so you can have what you want in your life. So Ischara, tell us, before you tell us your big problem and how I can help you solve it, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do and where you are, since I was thinking you were in a home, and let us know. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm 20 years old. I
20?
have a new...
No wonder you were saying yes, ma'am, before we got on the call, because I'm like an old lady compared to you. 20 years old. Oh, my God. Okay.
Yeah, I've always been very good to my elders. I probably would be saying...
Now I'm an elder? Holy crap, what have I done? This is terrible. Is my...
I think anyone older than me is an elder, even if it's years.
Good save. Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're 20 years old. Okay, good. Keep going.
I'm from Denver, Colorado.
Awesome.
And I have a new baby girl. She's 2.5 months old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a young mom, though. How you feeling?
Oh, I feel great. She's a great baby.
Wow.
She hardly cries ever.
What?
Yeah. So
Oh
I'm
my
very
goodness.
pleased with that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Her father and I aren't together anymore. We were together for almost 2 years. But it was kind of a toxic relationship.
I'm assuming this was not a planned pregnancy.
Yeah, it was. He wanted to, but then we
really?
had changed our minds very quickly. But I had already found out.
Oh, but you actually were trying?
Yeah, it was for like a couple days, I think.
Couple days. That's what happens when you're 20. Difference between 20 and my elderly age. It doesn't happen that easily. Okay, so you actually had a conversation, because that's young to say, hey baby, let's have a baby. I'm 20, let's have a baby. But you actually did talk about it.
Yeah, we
briefly
talked about
for 2 days.
Children and marriage, and at the time we had our own apartment. You know, everything was going pretty great. And then he started, oh, I don't like this job. I want a new job. So I ended up paying for everything. And I was a dog groomer at the time. So when I started getting bigger, I couldn't groom anymore.
Right.
So now I'm, I'm going to start working at the post office in a couple of weeks. But I have all these expenses. Right now my parents are helping me out.
So are you working now, or once you had the baby, you basically haven't been working from part of your pregnancy till when you had the baby?
Yeah, I've been grooming here and there, but it's kind of hard to, groom a dog.
With a baby in your hand and grooming over here.
Yeah.
Even though she doesn't cry, yeah. So basically, your parents aren't just taking care of your daughter. You have to find, or are they going to take care of her when you go to work?
Yes.
They will? Okay.
Yeah, I'll have a babysitter when I go to work, but she is feeding, so I have to know ahead of time.
Okay. So I'm sure there are a lot of challenges, but what's your biggest challenge right now when it comes to money and finances and that sort of thing?
Well, the challenge is I'm not quite sure how to split up the expenses between the two of us, because I don't really wish to talk to him, but I also have to pay on the apartment that we had together.
You still owe money on the apartment?
Yeah, I broke the lease, and I moved in with my dad, and he left, and he moved with his brother.
Okay, but because you broke the lease, how much do you owe then?
I think $1,100.
You owe $1,100 for breaking the lease. Okay. And he's just saying he won't... how do you split it up? It seems logical that you each pay half.
Yeah, well, I ended up paying most of the rent, as well as the cable bill and Excel. So it's like I kind of have to figure out how to do all of those, because he doesn't have very much common sense to figure out how to do such things. And then he's very prideful, so he doesn't want to listen. So I just want to get payment started, but I don't know how to
So wait,
manage all of that.
so you don't just owe on the apartment, you also owe on cable bills and all these other bills?
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, I guess the question is not necessarily how to split it up, meaning like, does he pay 30%? Does he pay 40%? Does he pay 50%? It sounds like the question is, how do I get him to pay money when I don't want to talk to him? Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. So unfortunately, I mean, there's it's an easy answer, but not an easy thing to do. I mean, you have a few options, right? I mean, one option is that you decide how much you want to get, right? So let's say you add up all the bills and it's $3,000. I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but if it were me, I'd say I owe 50%. If I used 50%, I was staying in that same apartment using the cable bill, using cable and everything, I would think I owe 50%, he owes 50%. I get that you were paying more, but unless you said, okay, honey, let's move into this place, and tell me if you did, let's move into this place, I'll pay for most of it. Did you say that? Or just you couldn't? Okay. So it's not that you had decided that you would pay for more. It's that he didn't live up to paying his share.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So that was, yes, that sucks because that was partly, because he sucked. Just to put it out there. But partly it's your fault. I'm going to just blame you or put it on you only because the only way that you can prevent this from happening again in the future is to never let a guy or anyone take advantage of you like that financially or in general again. And that's because you didn't set boundaries. That's because you weren't clear about what you were willing to do and what you weren't willing to do. So we got to go to a break, but let's talk more about this. So one, I want to help you figure out what to do right now with the money. And two, I want to help you prevent this from happening in a relationship again. So you're watching the Financial G-Spot on the Whatever It Takes Network, and we will be right back. Welcome back. This is Robin Crane. You're watching the Financial G-Spot here on the Whatever It Takes Network. And so if you're just tuning in, Ischara has a newborn baby, 2.5 months. She's only 20, not the baby. Ischara. Ischara's 20. She's got a 2.5-month-year-old. She's got baggage from the ex, the father of your daughter here. Financial baggage and probably a lot of other baggage. So what I want to help you with is figuring out what do you do with all this past stuff and how do you reconcile that? And what do you do moving forward, more importantly, so that you don't make this mistake again? So I'm just gonna ask you some questions first. So when you thought about having a baby, right? Because you said you planned it. You talked about it and then you planned it. Did you really plan it or it just was an accident?
It was really planned.
It was. Okay.
But we changed our mind after a few days.
So when you planned it, like how much did you think, like at that time, he wasn't paying his share of rent, right?
Yeah, at that time.
He wasn't paying half, or was he?
He had a job and we were both paying.
Was he paying half?
Yes.
Oh, he was. Okay. So at the time, you guys were both paying half, and you thought, hey, let's have a baby. And how were you guys doing financially? Like you were actually getting by, you were doing okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you were doing fine.
Great.
Okay, so the relationship was good. Money was fine. He wasn't pulling this stuff. Okay, and then you got pregnant, and then you guys were freaking out. Like, whoops, maybe we shouldn't have done that. And is that when he stopped paying his share of the bills?
Yes, because he didn't like his job. He wanted a new one, but he didn't apply and get a job. So when he quit the one he had, he could just go to the other one. He spent all his time looking, and then he just kind of stopped looking, and then I was paying everything.
Okay, how far along were you at this point when he stopped his job?
3 months.
Okay, so you're 3 months pregnant, you're living with your boyfriend, and he says, yeah, now I don't like my job anymore, so I'm going to look. And did you support him, or were you like, don't do that, or what came up?
Yeah, well, I told him, I said, you should have found a job before you quit the other one. That's what I told you before, so you wouldn't have the time of trying to look for one and taking months to find a new one if you can't find one. And then after that, it was just kind of, I was like, we'll just get on it, try to find another job, what have you. He did a couple jobs with his friend. They did a church thing with like basketball camp and children and everything, and then he never paid him. And
Okay,
he
so
just
it's
kind of
cool.
blew it
So
off.
so basically, he started to like stop making money and doing stupid things, whatever. Okay, and so at what point did you realize that it was time to like go back to your? Did you break up and go back and live with your parents just recently, or did you? What was it going on for a long time, or did you break up earlier than that?
No, I actually ended up in November. I told him that I was leaving and I was going to go stay with my dad because he wanted me there already,
Mm-hmm.
and because of the whole thing that was going on, he had my boyfriend at the time had these insecurities and everything. So then he was just becoming like real verbally abusive. And I
Mm.
was 4 months at the time, so I said no. I said I have to leave. I said I'm sorry. If it gets better, then we can work it out. But I said I'm leaving.
Okay, so you're 4 months pregnant and you took off, went back to your dad's with your dad. And were you still paying
Yes.
rent for him at that point?
No.
Okay, so he was paying the rent,
Yes.
or you broke the lease then.
Yeah, we ended up breaking the lease, I think, 2 weeks later.
Okay, so like this all happened months ago, but now you owe $1,100 from like months and months and months ago. Yeah. Okay. All right. So
Yes.
so what has happened now? Like I'm just trying to catch up with all the exciting drama. So what has happened now since so who's after you for the 1,100? The landlord, or is it gone to collections?
We were emailing back and forth. Well, sort of. He never really emailed me back about getting a payment plan started for when I started my new job. So he told me that he was sending it to collections. So now it's on collections, and I guess I can start payments when I start my job with them and just go
Okay.
to the
So it
apartment
sounds like
complex.
when it comes to splitting what you owe, is it under your name and under your social security number, the collection stuff?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm just going to tell you, it's probably a loss. I would just say he's not going to, unless, if you don't want to talk to him, and I mean, there's no suing him here. Like, it's not like I don't think it's gonna benefit you to take him to court and try to get $600 from him or $550 from him. Like, he probably doesn't have the money, and you're probably just gonna take a lot of time and energy away from being with your daughter and being present with your daughter, like for just it not being worth it at all. Do you want him in your daughter's life?
I would like for her to know him, and be a good mother so she can't say, I kept her from him. But with him, being verbally abusive whenever he wants, or, wanting me to do everything or bring her to him, I don't want to have to deal with it because he's thrown threats now. So
Okay, so
it's
what
worse.
you need to decide, so you're a bit wishy-washy. Okay, you need to decide what you want so that you know which way to take action. So either right now you want him in her life or you don't. And if you want him in her life, then you may need to go to a court, to court to actually not even, I mean, they'll figure out the money as well. But before you even go to court, you need to be clear about what you want. Okay, because I mean it's not he can't just say you have to bring her. I mean, it doesn't work like that. Like, there's courts to decide these things, right? So you go to court. It doesn't, it shouldn't cost anything. You don't need a lawyer. Just go to court and help them figure out, like, it's even mediation, help them figure out what happens and how much money is paid. He should be paying child support, but if he has no money, he may not be paying child support. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't go to court, because it may be that a year from now he might have a job and he will pay you back child support. Okay, but you need to decide what you want and what you're willing to endure. Because right now, if just talking to him is painful, then maybe you don't want him in your life. Maybe, like, I know people who have decided that I don't want child support. I don't care. I just want to have nothing to do with the guy. I want to raise my daughter. I'm going to have my parents help raise her, and that's it. And if someday when he shapes up, maybe I'll consider it. But right now, I don't even care about the child support. And there are people on the other side who are like all about making sure it's fair, and screw that guy. I want to make sure I get the money that I need to care for my daughter, right? So first thing is that you need to decide what you want. Once you decide what you want, then it's just taking action. And so it's not so like, so difficult for you to figure out and agonizing for you to know what to do, because right now you're just confused. So that's why you're in this position. So when we come back again, we're going to make sure that you don't repeat this pattern again, number one, and then figure out what you need to do and hopefully help you decide. Again, this is Robin Crane. You're watching the Financial G-Spot on the Whatever It Takes Network, and we'll be right back after the break. Thanks. Welcome back to the Financial G-Spot. I'm Robin Crane here with Ischara. 20 years old, has a 2.5-month-old. Geez, you're like, slow down. 2.5-month-old daughter, having challenges with the ex. He's verbally abusive. He sounds like a bit of a tool, but I'm sure everybody runs their patterns and everybody has their side of the story, right? So I don't like that he's verbally abusive, but the only thing I can help you control is what you have in your control, which is you. So you need to decide, do I want to put up with this stuff anymore? Do I want to put myself in a position where I am verbally abused and my daughter's verbally abused? Do I want him out of my life? What I want. So what do you think you want? If you had to guess right now, and I know we just figured this out, but let's hit it.
I think I don't want to have to deal with him. I don't think I want to try and get child support when he's already having a hard time with money. Like you said, it would be a waste of time, a waste of energy. I think I just...
By the way, if you go back to court in 5 years, even if you never went to court before, they can still get him for back child support. Just so you know. Doesn't mean you can't get... I mean, if at one point he does have money, I mean, it sounds pretty awful to go after him. Maybe it's still not worth the energy, but it doesn't mean that all is lost if you just cut off all ties. Okay, so it sounds like you want to not deal with him. You don't want to go after him for child support. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I already don't want to talk to him, so I don't want to have to deal with child support and him getting even more angry and just going crazy because he's already too much to handle.
Let me ask you this. Let's say you didn't ask him for any money. Okay, let's just take money out of the equation. Let's say you didn't ask him for any money and you didn't ask him for child support and he stopped being verbally abusive. And he wasn't going to pay you a dime, but he starts being nice again, like the guy you fell in love with, and he actually seems like he'd be a good dad. Would you want him back in your daughter's life, and you want to figure out a way to, have visitation and whatnot, or would you not? Assuming he pays zero.
No, because he's a bit of a flip-flopper. He'll apologize and, oh, I'm sorry for calling you out of your name, or threatening you, and then the minute he gets upset 5 minutes later, he's doing the same exact thing.
Okay, great. So this is recorded. The world can see this, that you've decided, no, I'm cutting off all ties. I'm done. I already know this pattern that he runs, that he's going to be a jerk, and then he's going to come back and be Mr. Nice Guy, and it's going to flip-flop, forget it. Okay, so just so you know, you have made a big decision here. I'm not saying you can't change it, but it's something you can leave from the show and think about. But just remember how that will affect your daughter. And I'm not saying it's good or bad, but every choice that you make in regards to your ex, cutting that off, and maybe that's the appropriate thing, just make sure you take that, into consideration. And then you have to stay strong. Whatever you decide, you can't flip-flop. You can't be like, yeah, he's not in her life. And then a week later, he's nice, and you say, oh, well, or you think, oh, she needs a dad, and then you change your mind and bring him back in. That's going to screw her up. He's out of her life, done. Maybe when she's older, you change your mind, fine, but right now it's done. So you can't flip-flop, okay? Then you need to just let go of the financial stuff. You just need to let go of the fact that, like, blaming him, he owes you, he screwed you. Any blame takes all of your power away because you no longer have control over that. If you blame him, then you're just a victim. And victims have pretty shitty lives, okay? So if you instead take responsibility, I put myself in that situation. I was with a guy who I knew flip-flopped, and I decided to have a baby with him anyway. Maybe even he never flip-flopped before. I doubt it. But maybe he never did that before. But still, I made the decision to have a baby regardless of whether he ends up doing what I thought he would do or not. I decided, everything goes back to you. All responsibility on you. And if you can even with your girlfriends, stop talking shit about him and say, hopefully it's all cut off. Not just physically you don't see him or talk to him, but cut off that chatter in your brain about him being the cause of your unhappiness or whatever. And it doesn't sound like you're unhappy that you have your daughter. You're pretty happy about that, right?
Oh yeah, she makes me laugh constantly.
Okay, so regardless of how it happened, everything happens for a reason, and now you have this beautiful, beautiful little girl. And, I actually have an 8-year-old daughter she's my stepdaughter, and she's one of the best things, I can't say the best because I have my husband too, but one of the best things that ever happened to me. And, in his situation, he was with a woman, it didn't work out. That wasn't his ideal, that wasn't her ideal, but it didn't work out, and now everybody's happy. She has her mom, she has me, she has her dad, so it all worked out, and it's the best. Like, he couldn't have asked for anything better, right? So
Yeah.
It's a gift. You have this wonderful, wonderful gift, and as long as you let go of the blame, then you just go bust your ass, make some money, get on a payment plan, and get yourself together financially so that doesn't bog you down. Like decisions of the past don't bog you down. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And then in regards to, I just want to check my time here. Okay, cool. And then in regards to moving forward, attracting another guy into your life, by the way, you might meet the best guy who ends up being her perfect dad,
Mm-hmm.
So if you want a relationship, attracting that person, but making sure that when things start to shift, or even especially when it comes to money, even before things shift, is that you set boundaries. Okay? And you don't make these big decisions like that in a flash. Like, you think through it in every little aspect of it. So if you're going to have a baby, you think about, well, where would the money come from? Where would we live? How would we pay for it? Think about moving to an apartment. Okay, just to be clear, we're going to each pay 50-50. Just having that conversation. When it comes to bills, what are we going to do? We're going to each pay half. What happens if someone loses their job? Well, basically, I'd be willing to pay for like 3 months. After that, it's just, I can't do it. Whatever it is for you, setting those boundaries, don't be afraid to talk about money and have the conversation that you need to have so that this stuff doesn't happen ever again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions that we missed, or anything that you need to help you go do what you got to do to make all this happen?
No, I think you answered it. I'm pretty excited. My parents would be excited because they're like, just cut it out, just do what you have to do. You're going to start your new job at the post office, so I'll be making a lot more than what I was doing. So
awesome. I have one more thing, not to bring you down when we're feeling all happy. I just want to make sure you consider this one thing. One possibility, and I was thinking about this and I forgot to mention it, is that he doesn't want to be cut out of her life, and he goes after you and takes you to court. So the baggage or the headache or whatever it is might still be there if he decides to pursue that. And all I can say as far as advice for that is that it is what it is. And you just bring the facts and try as hard as you can not to get too emotional about it. And maybe he'll win, and maybe he'll get to see her. But what they'll do is they'll make sure that he's paying a certain amount and that there's separation. They'll help you with all that. But just don't be surprised if he decides to, even just to get you back. So this happens sometimes when they don't even necessarily care, and I don't know him at all, but it's more like, how dare you cut me out of your life? I'll show you. I'll try to take away our daughter,
Yeah,
so
that really sounds like it too.
So brace yourself for the possibility and just, stay clear-headed. This might be airy-fairy, but I'd recommend just even 10 minutes of meditation, especially before you have to deal with this stuff, and go back to centered and just love, and remember the love for your daughter, and that, whatever happens, you guys will get through. But holy cow. Well, if you change your mind, you don't want your daughter, just send her my way, because we've been trying to get pregnant for 2.5 years. So I'll just take your daughter off your hands. No,
She'd probably love that. She's a ham.
Oh, I bet she's so adorable. What's her name?
Braille.
Marielle?
Braille.
Mm-hmm. Oh, pretty. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining me and being open, and all of you out there, thanks for joining us. Again, you're watching the Financial G-Spot on the Whatever It Takes Network, and I'll be back next week.
The Financial G-Spot is also available for download on iTunes and Stitcher. See the link in the description below.